So today we will be painting some fruit. This is I think for Nelly and Alona, it must be missing Singapore. I don't know if you like durian and mangosteen, right? All this in. Um, we are going to do this on the raw rice paper, right? So why we paint something like this, right, is that if you actually search on internet, there are very few pieces of Chinese painting about durian and the mangosteen, all this. Because the reason, right? China, we don't have this. Of course, all those artists, right? If you searching for Chibai Shi, he never paint something like that. I think he doesn't even know there's some fruits called durian, right? So if you're looking for reference, not many Chinese painter, especially all those famous ones, right? They actually didn't paint anything. So when we painting all these again, right? This class I think is more to transforming you from um, painting according to a painting, a reference, to painting according to a photo, right? So let me show you some of the photos of this. We actually had a few classes, right, on this already, right? So if you see, this is a photo of the durian. Yeah, so I'm gonna go through, for this class, for the whole process of painting the durian, how we're gonna apply, especially how we're gonna create all these sharp things on the durian, right? In the Chinese painting, right? So before we actually go into the detailed painting, right, converting an image, a photo, into a painting, right? Something you need to take note is that Chinese painting, to differentiate the Chinese painting with the watercolor, things that, how do we, if we look at the painting itself, sometimes you might say, oh, using watercolor, I can do the same thing, right? So what's the main difference, right? The Chinese painting, we must use ink, use ink inside the painting, right? Whether you use on the durian, you use on the mangosteen, you use on the outline, all these, you must have ink. This part we mentioned before, right? Chinese painting, the ink is like a, if you consider the painting as like a human, the ink are the bones, the color are the flesh. So it's actually the color, the ink will form the structure, the shape of the things we are painting. While the color is actually indicating, all the the feeling that brought to us, right? So how do you make this durian look like a very fresh and delicious, right? All those relies on color also. So we need to use ink on this. Now, when we doing all the detailed steps, right, on the raw paper, here's the thing. Sometimes on the raw paper, I think when you paint more, you find raw paper very difficult to handle. Right? Today, this is the same thing. We had this class for I think at least four since last weekends. Four classes on this. I think the common feedback is on all classmates, they thought it's easier, right? But actually, when you paint, it's not so easy. This is the same thing that applies actually most of Chinese painting like that. The thing is when you look like simple, right? It's actually more difficult to paint. So for this one, I'm gonna show you the detail on the raw paper. How do we handle, all the raw paper, right? In the more detail. So I'm going to have a line brush like this, right? Let's put some ink inside, right? 也不用先素描的，我们要先，对，我要解释一下那个，它的宣纸喷宣上面用不同的笔它的区别。So first, right, let me explain to you the difference of different brushes on the raw rice paper. Right? Okay. For example, I have one medium-sized brush and one smaller size like this. I have some ink here, right? So the step is quite straightforward. We're gonna do all the outline, all the ink line first, right? Then on top of that, we're gonna apply color, right? So first, let me explain the difference, right? So let's say I'm taking the bigger brush, right? So put in water and then come out, right? See, I take a little ink, so I want a bit lighter, right? So put some more water inside the lighter ink, all right? Same thing for the smaller brush. Then just mix a little ink, some lighter ink. Now, for the raw rice paper, here's the difference, right? Of course, it's quite straightforward. If I'm using small line brush, the smudging size is not going to be big, right? So let's see how I try the stroke. So this is the line brush. So if I'm going to do the line brush, see, if I come down, right, see, zoom in a little. Well, it's smudging, right? But it's because the tip of the brush is smaller, so it's not smudging so badly, right? And then if I'm using this bigger brush, right? Come down, right? You see, it's also smudging. Of course, it's gonna bigger, right? But there's a difference, right? When we using the brush to put on some shading, what do I mean by shading, right? So if you look at the durian, right here, this part of the durian, so we need to have some shadow or shading on the side. Now, if I'm using the smaller brush, if I'm using smaller brush, for example, I'm gonna create some shading here, right? So if I'm press down using the side of brush and slowly, gently, right, on the paper. What you can see, right, this smaller brush is going to create a very small dots and give you more rough. You don't even, if you see, I'm just wiping on the paper. Now, if you're changing a bigger brush, I want to do the same shading, right? And I want to go, you see, when you touches, the moments you're touching the paper, everything is smudging. So using this bigger brush, right, you can't create all these very rough texture on raw paper, on a raw paper. Okay, so this actually comes down to one thing. It's actually when we painting, you need to realize the raw paper, right, is taking in the water very fast from your brush. So that means, right, if I want to continue to have this rough texture using a smaller brush, right? Then you will have to repeat the same process many more times, right? Let's see, I'm gonna repeat a bit more. So until my brush achieves a certain degree of dry, and then you go again, right? So now the brush will become dry like that. So for bigger brush, right, it's actually not so easier, right? If unless you are, you see, I'm drying the whole brush, and then I try again, right? You see, I try again. It can achieve partially something like that, but the first thing you need to actually take out most of the paper water inside. So understanding this, right, it will be easier for us to paint the durian. Show you the whole process. Okay, now let's say we painting from this photo. Just now I mentioned we must using ink for Chinese painting. So if you look at durian, there's nothing black, especially inside the seed, nothing black. Then how do you use the ink? You should separating the darkest points in this picture, right? The darkest is the lines where the seed touches the shell, right? Here, then here we're gonna use ink. Again, right, for this very lighter color fruits, right, you cannot use black ink. Right? So you come down and use black ink to paint. It's no good. So what we're gonna do, right, we use lighter ink. Same like just now here. Right, we take this lighter ink, right, use the line brush. Again, right, some fundamentals, right, using the raw paper. Before you're painting, you should try to scratch off the tip of the brush. Right, then we come down here, right, so starting from, let's see, the left seat here, right, so start from here, the center, see? When you drop down, right, it is smudging. It's okay. Don't worry too much, right? You can continue to actually get more to this side, right? And then from here, we go on top, and painting the durian this side, right? And continue up. I'm creating the whole left-hand side of the seat. Now, second thing, right, we need to see the shadow, right, or the shading, right? It's actually on the inside. That means I'm going to create a shading here, right? See here. Using the same way, just use the line brush to wiping on the paper. So it's creating very small rough stroke on the paper. Right? And then to show this drawing, there are different parts of the seat, right? You can go from here, coming up one, and here, up one more. Right? So you can see now what I have done, right, is light pink, very light one. The next, I'm going to do this side. And start from here, to the outline, uh, outline here. Okay. Same for the shading, when you converting the photo, very important for the correction. Let's say normally common mistake, you're gonna apply the shading on here, which is wrong, right? The shading, because it's light, right, from this side, so shading should be on the same direction. So for the lower one, right, you see, it should be on the right hand side too, right? So I'm gonna apply the shading on this side. So apply a very rough one. You see here, right? Very, very rough. Too. All these small things when you're painting, you might not realize, it's a small thing, how I achieve it. Should I go bigger stroke or, you know, initially you might don't see the difference. But once you finish the painting, you will see the difference. So if we go very rough with a small stroke, it's a bit better. Okay. Now, once we're down the center, the outside the shell, so you can see outside is darker color. So what we can do, right, take a little bit darker ink, and then from the outside, right, we draw the shell to go a bit like this, and go a little dry brush also. Right. Come in here and go in. Now, this you see the whole thing now. I just use ink. I didn't mix on any other things. So when you're actually working on the raw paper, let's say you find really challenging to just doing the ink drawing, what you can do, right? You can mix some color inside ink. Let's say the durian, the outside one, mix a little brown inside, it will be easier to paint. Here, right? The bottom one, putting the outside, the shell, top one, two, three. I can draw the whole thing here. No, I think that for the ink parts, right, quite straightforward. You all understand how to do it. Now, next thing when you're converting a photo into painting, right, is the color, right? Once the ink, right, is, whether you use a little bit dark inside, outside, a bit light, a darker ink or lighter ink, or it's still fine as long as you paint out the structure. It's good. But more challenging is on the color, right? How do you see this color, right, into the painting? In watercolor or Western painting arts, right? Normally what you do, right? You see those oil painting, they actually mix multiple color together to achieve some tones. In Chinese painting, it's not so challenging, right? That we need to mix so many colors. But it's actually the color you select for this image, right? It will decide the final look and feel of your painting. So quite straightforward, right? If you look at the durian, it's yellow, right? So we can use yellow inside. Then after you paint the yellow, what about the shell? The shell was the color, right? Normally, from a photo, you can zoom in a little. If you look at the photo right here, under all these sharp things on the shell, right, it's actually a little bit yellow and green, right? See inside here, the yellow green, and then it's a brown, dark brown. All these, right, you can separate the color from the photo. And then in Chinese painting, there's a simpler way in choosing color, right? You just do one deeper or darker color than the ones you see from the photo. Then will do. So that means the base color, that means under the skin, we can use yellow, but on top, all these lighter brown parts, we use darker brown. All these darker brown parts, we use ink. That's what I mean by use one level darker than the real photo. And this is a simple way for you to select color from the painting. Of course, if you go more advanced, let's say you want to create your own painting style, you want to create your own color scheme, you can actually try out different color combinations, see which one you like the most, and that will represent your own style, right? But other than that, right, if we go simpler, right, we just choose one level darker than the current one, and don't forget we need to use the ink. So what you see normally this dark brown here, right? Later we use ink to show that. Okay, so before we actually go into the coloring the thing now, we need to do one more thing. If you see now, the shell and also the inside the seed look very separated because the color is dark. Then this one is very light, so the contrast is very big. But you can see in the actual image, right, there are some certain parts, right, which is actually dark. So from here, right, we take a little darker ink, right? So now we come back, right? For those darker parts, let's say this part, the shell, right? We can actually just go over again using a little bit darker ink, but not so many lah. Only the parts that you see from the photo a little bit darker, right? So this part also under this part under, right? So for here, right? Let's add it. The other parts, if you want to do here, down here. All these small things, after you color, they still matter. So you need to do that before you should do the color. Once that's done, right, now let's start to do the color. So the color for the main color, we use yellow, number 5 in the embrand, right? Say in the Maurice is also that's the yellow color, 218. And then we need one more color for this seed, which is number 14, the brown jersey. And in the Maurice is the 684, the brown color. So yellow and brown. Okay. Okay. So now we can put the yellow in the plate, the brown in the plate, separate. Now, when you're coloring, right, if you recall what we switched before, right, there are actually on the raw paper, the 3 things we need to take notes, right? Is actually what we use here, right? Is water, ink, and color. These three things. The color don't smudge. The ink, water, both smudge. So when we do the color, right, see, I'm taking, let's take a bigger brush, take a big brush, wipe the whole brush, wipe the whole brush. Now first, I will just take the yellow. I don't want so thick, so let's put more water in the yellow. So get the whole brush in this yellow color. Now when we do the color from this for this one, right, it's similar, a little bit similar to Western painting. That you need to take note this layer concept. So once you get the color, remember color don't smudge. So water smudge. So when you put the color here, if I go here, I just color the whole durian, right? Now when you color this part, you need to take note of the white parts in the durian. If you look, normally it's the center, near the center of the durian here is white part. What you can do, right, instead of coloring like that, you should go this way. Right? From outside, brush in, and then when you brush in, right, go curve like this, right, so that you can actually make sure this inside a little white, similar like outside one also color this shape. Here go in, brush this way. The same how we leave this part white in the durian. Now, outside, just now we saw the skin of the durian shell. So what we do now, right, is actually getting the outside also. So use the yellow, one down, then you can go up a little, open this side for the durian, and see this side here. Now when we color in the outside, sometimes we see, oh, can I have some slight white to here in the skin? For durian, actually no need. For other fruits, right? If we are painting a honey melon, right, then you can actually do that. But for durian, don't need because the thing is later we're gonna apply color and stroke on top of the skin here, right? So this one is just color the whole thing, whole thing. Okay. Now, just now I said, color don't smudge. You might see, oh, how come this part is smudging? This part is because the water pushing the color. It's not because the color itself smudging, right? Because the water is pushing the color. So, but I know color and color don't smudge. So what I can do, right? See here, right, once I done that, no need to wash your brush. Right? Same yellow, right? Same yellow brush and come back, right? Now on the tape, I take a little bit of brown color. A little bit, not so much, a little bit. Why do I take the brown color, right? It's because this one, the ink shading is not enough. So what I'm gonna do, right, gonna on top. So you see this part, I don't wait for the paper to dry because I know color and color, they don't smudge. So what I do now, right, is using the tip of the brush, same, applying to the shading parts on the durian. So I go here this way, up, this way, up. So once you apply this brown color, you will see, right, suddenly the durian look more three-dimensional because it look like a curve like that. So we apply in the correct direction. Bottom here, right, going up, creating the differentiation between the seed. Then have some more. Right. Here we go up. Right. So once you apply the brown color on top, you can see it's actually, oh, now the seed pops. Pops. Same thing for the below one. Remember the correct position. Don't apply here now. It's right here, right on the bottom. Yeah. Uh, Once that's done, right, let's see the center. You want a little bit color shade to just brush a little bit center. Make the color more natural instead of too accurate. It's not good. Right. So once we've done this part, we start to do the sharp parts of the durian shell. So this part, as I mentioned just now, we need to actually darken the color a little bit. So now I have the brown. The brown. So what I'm doing, I will take the, I want some darker brown. I don't want too bright. So take a little bit ink into the brown. So no, now what I have, right, this is actually dark brown. This is not black. Take a little bit ink into the brown. Now I have darker ink, darker brown, brown color. Okay. Now, darker brown with a little bit ink, a little bit ink into the brown. How do you create all these sharp point? It's actually very easy. You can see how the brush is just pointing to the outside. So this round, you need to cover this round. You cannot show this line in the final, right? So you're gonna put the sharp between the white and the yellow, right? You cannot go absolutely inside the yellow, it should be between. But the first layer what you do, right, is actually along the opening of the durian, right? So from here, right, brush pointing to outside, straight, then press down the one. You can see this very sharp one. And when you're applying, do a little bit natural, some maybe a bit longer, some a bit shorter. Now, first one, you should do along this line, opening part. Okay? Just press down. No need to drag or drop, right? Just do this. Remember, take notes on the direction, right? It should follow the shell, the direction. This side also. Some long, short, long, short. This one don't drag. One thing key is don't drag because when you're dragging, right, what happens is actually it will go into the white. Just press. This part no need to be very sharp. See, that's the difference. If you press a little bit, right? Okay. Small top. Now this is the first layer. Same, we need some more, right? Brown plus so ink. Second one. Now the second one what you do, right? Now this is along the opening, right? Second one what you do, right, is along this outside the yellow, this line, right? So the second one is gonna here. Same, put it in between the white and the yellow. Okay, and this is second layer. Right. Third one, you just fill in the center. Now this part need to be a bit natural. You see all the gap. Here's gap. So we are just putting in that. This layer, right, you can do a bit more natural. Don't have to um like a line by line. Right? Okay. So now once you've done that, right, this run is only considered the first layer. Just now we mentioned there are darker colors are on the shell, right? So now what we do, right, is we uh, put more ink with the brown. So still with the brown because we don't want pure ink gonna smudge too much. So all this very dark one, this where do we apply? Now this part you need to take the photo if you are having overlapping, right? And also the light from top, bottom, the durian is darker, right? So that's why we need to have some more dark here, right? So we're gonna come back to the lower parts, right? Now press a bit more on this darker part, the darker color onto the durian. And sometimes if you have a little bit more ink, it's fine because it's going to create some smudging. It's actually make it look more natural. But don't use pure ink. If you try pure ink here, right, it's gonna smudge very quickly. So only applies to the parts that have a little bit shadow, right? That you want to show. So this part I need a little bit shadow too. Check here. And for this part, I also need to take note that you don't want to forget about the ink or the property of the ink. The ink, right, sometimes right, is look nice, right? It's because it can create some contrast. So for this durian, right, where do we create some contrast? If we have more white and thick color in the front, we should have a little bit what is so-called the fly white 石和虚 behind. And so for here, you can get some rough stroke. That's actually creating some contrast. Yeah. Inside here, right, you can also have a little bit rough stroke, right? So to show a little bit texture there. Top. All these small things is actually okay. All right. So now for this part, right, once you have done this, it's almost finished. So the last one, right, if you want to see the final of this painting, right? See the below one. Now, for me, this one smudging is enough. Sometimes when you do this part, it look very dry. If it look very dry, we need one more layer blending. What happens for this blending is you can try this brown plus ink, this color, lighter, dry a little bit the brush, maybe a little dry. But as mentioned, this one is already quite watery. We can do right, come back under here, right? Down here, we're actually creating one more layer, right? It's actually blending this color and actually hiding all the yellows. So I don't want so yellow outside because the shell doesn't go in. Only no, same the brown plus the ink, lighter one. Let's take the same color, but with a little bit. Then this part now you can do the last one. So until here, right, this is done. Of course, if you are going to, let's say, painting on some non-white paper, or sometimes we have some texture paper, right? This one inside you want a little yellowish cat. If you're gonna create on the non-white paper, some of the highlights on the durian here, right? The white, you can actually use white paints. Last time I think the other beginner course we have classmates has this question, right? Yeah, I think she learned some other place also. Okay. Is it like Chinese painting if we use white paint is considered not correct? You see, because we are painting in Chinese colors, right? You see, it there has white, so it's okay to use white. Doesn't mean using white is wrong. Okay, so this is durian. So you see, once we have done this, right, we successfully managed on raw paper to create all the shading, the detail. But all this comes back to one thing is your understanding of the watercolor ink. How do you place that? Okay, same if you're painting the seat here, right? Follow the same step that we did just now, right? Now, next one, we do the mangosteen. 喜欢吃山竹嘛？对啊，可以。Daddy, I know that we were in Singapore, you eat this?
I tried it oh, this one I'm not sure, but about durian I tried it at school once.
Oh, you like it? No?
I felt neutral about it.
I liked a lot mangosteen. I was buying like,
Yeah.
I don't know, kgs of mangosteen and eating them.
Oh, nice.
But durian,
Oh,
sometimes we was eating with my husband, but not so often.
yeah. So I
I
think
saw a lot of them in Singapore, but we didn't buy them much, if I
uh,
remember correctly. I'll
yeah, I
ask my
think
mom again.
usually the booths, yeah, they're selling the durian, they were selling these two, right? They sell these two together. We buy these two. Okay, so the understand this is this is the tree. Look a lot on the tree. But the single one is actually looking very cute because it has this like a cap on top, right? Then inside is a pure white color, the seed, very delicious, very sweet. So when we putting this painting this mangosteen, how do we choose the color and also how we are going to combine with the durian? Because if we just go for durian here, the color a bit boring, white yellow color. Chinese painting, we have actually sometimes you see when we're painting landscape, there's a green and blue color style, there's a brown and blue color style, right? All these color match, color combination actually create. So this one in the mangosteen, we do have green, purple, right, and a little bit red color for the skin of the mangosteen. So normally for this color combination, we are going to use the color actually 19, color 19 for the emerald. For Marie is actually the 302, 302. And for the emerald, the other color with the purple is color 57. And for the Marie's is actually 451. So these two will create the purple color, 1957, these two colors. Right, let's do this mangosteen. Mangosteen is not difficult, simple. So now we put the 19 in one, then we put the 57 in the other one. Now this one is more like we are learning the way to do the color. There's some mistake when you do these two colors. If you put them together, you will never achieve the color you wanted. So okay, you can see how do we create the color. For purple color, same. Every time we take the blue with the red, but we do this way, right? How do we do? We take blue, right? See, blue into red, and do not mix the color in the red. You take blue and take the red, right? You put in a third place. This will be the base we are starting to do the color. Now, if you look here, right? I'm actually having a little bit less blue, a bit more red. So my color looks more towards the red color. See this one? This is actually the skin, the cut. You see the cut. This is the color. So once you have this color, right? Now just come back to the paper. 这个是19大红，这个是太青蓝啊。对，这个不用放太多，这个少一点，放进去拿出来这个颜色。好 ，you put this one into the red, take out, right? You will get some. If your color darker than this, right, you can put a little more red inside it. So first, right, we're gonna do the cutting points of the mangosteen. So you from left to right, right to left. Now this is the skin, right? When you cut it, it will look something like that. Right, we can paint a few, right? If you wanna do more, right? Say on top, right? One more, yeah, right? After you achieving this color, right? You see the skin of the mangosteen is actually darker, darker purple. So now what we do, right? Over these 3 plates, now you come back now, take a little more blue and come back mix with the red. So now you're gonna have more dark purple. See? Dark purple. And this color is going to be the one we're using for the skin. But sometimes the skin you see is a little bit darker than this, right? You can actually take a little bit more blue into it. And sometimes, right, if you want it even darker, right, you can take a little bit ink on the tip of the brush. Now, under the open part, what we're gonna do, right, is actually we are going to from here, right, on the side, the one stroke, and you can come back here, stroke here, on this side also, coming up. Now, for some of the mangosteen, if you want a little bit highlights, we call it on the skin, you don't want the pure color, right? And actually create a little bit highlights here. Here, right, it comes down. Make a little rounder. Of course, the proportional ones, right? This is supposed to be smaller than durian. Just want to make sure we paint it clearly. So create some highlights. Sometimes you don't want so big, smaller highlight. Then now we take the ink brush back. Now here right now we want to create a seed of the mangosteen. Like you can actually take the same brush, right? This line brush, and put a little ink, lighter ink also with the brown color. I don't want so black, so I put in a little bit brown color. And then from here, how do we add the seed? This way, the easier way you can start in the center, right? You see here, right? You go one line up. Then the second one will go here, going up. On top, right? Go in. Third one, and to go here. Depending on the shape of it. Here, and down. And the top one. Of course, you have to align with the overall shape. This one I do a little bit outside. This one you can do another one. One, two, three, four, one. Mix a bit more color. Take the black. And see here, right? You want to create a second. This one, if you don't want highlights, just cover up. Oh, now you see how your durian has the shading, but the mangosteen don't have, right? So we can do, right? You can actually put a little shading on the mangosteen too. This one, right? Whether you use a small line brush, or you use bigger one, both can. Want to manage better, right? Use small line brush. Take just now the same brown with ink, like that. Then you come to the bottom, right? This up here, right? To create a little bit shading. Each part of the mangosteen. Oh, so when doing this here, right? Of course, if you are going to do a complete one with the leaf on top, you just mix the blue color, the green color, and create the top one. How do we create the leaf on top? We just do the leaf one. We have the same color, right? You have the yellow, you have the blue. We just use the same color. Take the little blue into the yellow. Normally a little bit darker green. I see sometimes all these leaves are not pure green. It's a little bit red on the tape. So in your brush, right, when you have the green on the tape, you can take a little bit lighting the red, just a little bit, not so much. And then let's say come back, right? If you are painting the leaf, painting the leaf, the mangosteen, how do you do that? Here. The brush goes down, up, down, right? So one leaf, one more. So, this yellow and the 57, the blue. Just now we used to do the purple. So normally we can do like 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So for the mangosteen, the leaf are a bit rounded. Let's try to do a little bit rounded. And inside, I'm going to draw one that tip coming in. Then under that, I should use the purple. Under that, if we are painting the purple, right, you can do under. Leave a small highlight. This small highlights, when you do on the raw paper, let's say you find out this margin and it disappear. It's okay, disappear later we use white for the can. But usually for the understain, we don't use full bright. Actually, okay. Up here, good. Now, before we actually go into our the whole complete painting, so again, right, composition for fruits. This is the quite a common generic composition. For fruits, especially if painting like you have a big fruit, smaller fruit, you can always use this composition. Now, whether you are painting long or square one, similar. If you are painting a square or a round one, I should say, when you have bigger and smaller fruits, right? First one is bigger, big ones, they must be high. You cannot I put durian like this one, durian in front, but because the size is similar, not to. But if we have big and small, right? This is supposed to be bigger, Big one should be behind. Most commonly you use for square or round paper in triangle combination. I can draw a triangle, right? Let's say this way, right? You wanna put the put this durian behind. Then you can actually do. I'll just draw the durian first. So let's say you go this way, similar like that. If I'm gonna put durian behind, in front, you need to have smaller one. Simple, right? And then the most important, you must have overlapping. It means you should have something in front blocking the behind one. Let's say I have the mangosteen here, right? It must block my durian. If I have the seed of the durian here, right? Also need to block the bit of the durian. And also the mangosteen, if you like fruits, right? If you have multiple same size fruits, multiple same size, you must do what? The first one, you must do overlapping. Okay. Second is you must do different angle of the fruits. What do I mean? Sometimes when people painting You see, all these are separate. The durian, mangosteen. Everything not touching each other. That's not correct. You must have overlapping. Second is we have same size, let's say mangosteen. Right? You need to have overlapping, two overlap each other. But these are similar angle. Not suggested it should have a bit different angle. Something like this one. You see? You can actually have a cut one here, right? They have complete one there behind. Also, when you put all these see how you can take a Google all these, right? You can see different angles, right? I see these two different angles, but they are not overlapping. Doesn't look good. So this one good. All these three. This one and this one are different angle, but a better angle is actually this one and this one. See this one and this one. It shows the top, shows the bottom. So when you are trying to arrange in a way that's actually more look more nicer, right? So let's say the triangle I have one, right? Then I have two right here overlap, and then I have one more here, right? Half open one here. So all these, right? Part of the composition. You try to do other things, right? Let's say you do a watermelon plus some oranges or apple, right? You can use the same rule. So all these, I should remember the way we're gonna arrange the things in the painting, right? So, yeah, the last one is different angle, different angles, like the top one, the bottom one, sideways, or something like that. Yeah. So later, right, same thing, we're gonna do a final one, but I hope, right, if you can decide, you can paint on your own, right, decide on the different angles, different, you know, that you like, right, I'll try to take this as an opportunity to try to create something your own, at least from the composition point of view, right? I can do more, right? The other class we had one classmate, she finished this up. She said, "Can I add one banana?" Yes, of course. You can do a banana behind, but the main thing is try to follow the. But everything good, right? We can. This painting was done on white, on the color texture paper. So you can see we actually have a bit white on top because for the mango stain, very need white. You can put on white paper also nice. So you want to try this color, let me know. Right? If you want to try the white one, I do. Okay. So Nelly, Mona, you can prepare your paper.
Yes, please
Ah.
1 minute,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, good. So
Do we use
sorry?
what color should we use?
White or texture both can. Yeah.
And square, right?
This one we use the round one. Round one, but you have square also can. No problem. Uh,
Okay, thank you.
那个比较好。
其实都可以，我们之前的两个都花的只是你画山图的时候，你要用白的把那个，对对，
那老师讲的是那个，所以我要留白，对不对？
Steven, I found texture outside and white inside with a circle. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay. That's good.
Okay, thank you.
啊，对，这个就像你好。我觉得买的话一样啊，其实是一样的。Okay. So when we painting, you see, the order also, if you are painting something like this, right, you should paint front one first, right? Then you paint the back one. You can actually follow the same we do in the photo, or you want to search for different photos also can online. We have classmates like searching for photo like that to paint also can. If you wanna try, you can search our own or I put actually beside and paint something like that. So we can actually put the bungle stain here, right? Here, 1, 2, 3, right? Then you put the durian seed here, right? Then you put the durian behind. This one can, okay. So for bungle stain, this tree, let's say we put this tree here, right? Then we need to paint this one, then this one, this one. This tree in from the front to the back. Okay, so for the front, this one, you see this one, the seed pops up more. So we can do this one first using the line brush. Lighter one. So we can do up here, right? One. 直接画这个对，画这个 mangosteen 在前面来画有人。So you can do, you can follow this photo, or you want to do different also can. If we're gonna follow this one, right, we can just do here. This is a lighter ink plus the brown. Like one, I'm painting this one. Oh, 这个大概是，好像我的拇指这么长因为这个是这么长跟那个那个丢人比较大我们有同学那个丢人画的小一点他说是猫山王要小OK。Once you draw the seed, then you can do this cut the skin. Then let's say we taking same the red and the blue, right? Less blue, more red. This gives us a bit more closer to the red color, not so dark. Bit more red. Right. Then you can actually go outside. You see the color doesn't smart anymore. Especially if you go a little bit dry color. Remember for raw paper. You don't have to be perfect. Sometimes a little bit, the lines, it's okay. Do something like that. I see this part I purposely didn't close. Just leave some white because later you're gonna have one more longer thing here. So you can leave a little bit. This one on top, you have the leaf. Leaf will do later. You don't do now. But on the side, you can follow this one. But you don't have to be exactly the same. You can do something different. Like the one just now we practiced. You can do a shape up here. You do circle. Down. To do skin wise, now you can actually do more darker color, the more blue into the red. Now you see, if you leave this one a little bit lighter, right? Later when you do this, the contrast is easier. Sometimes for the skin, longer skin, the skin, you don't want so smooth. You can do all these small dab, so the color doesn't go so even. After these two, I can paint the third one. But the third one, there's one thing, is it? This one, the leaf we haven't painted. This one, the leaf haven't painted. We should do all these leaf first. So we take blue with a yellow, some green color. Then on the tip, take a little red. So on top of this, we do the leaf. One, two. Your green can mix a little red, so it look a bit more natural. Three. When you do the painting from a photo, one thing in Chinese painting is try not to do exactly the same. And change a little bit. Try to remind yourself, change a little bit from photo. It's actually better. Because sometimes you are lost, like I just want to do exactly same like which is not good. So I have to change a little bit. Now on top, same green to red here. One leaf. Second leaf. You can put a little red on it. Take time. Now you can actually take the darker purple, more blue inside. Without staying behind. Here, right? Down. Sometimes, let's say your color here is too close to the front one. You want to create contrast. You can leave a gap. You don't have to actually everything goes must overlap like touch each other. Right? So this one I can just leave a small gap. For the shape, not enough. A little more. Right on this side. Open that a little bit, right? Then under here, right? No need to close, just leave a small gap too. But once you have the darker one, remember this below one, because it's cut, that doesn't mean it's you can have a little this darker on outside to show that it still has this purple color. Also use a little purple inside to indicate a little bit shading or shadow. Now, just show you the different options in the painting. Now, you see how I can do this, leave a gap. I can also do the other way. The other way is if you really don't want to leave a gap. See, I really want to overlapping. You can do the same purple color. This time, on the tip of your brush, right, take a little bit darker ink. This will come back to the normal contrast of overlapping. And then I'm applying the darker one. See here. If you really don't want to leave, right, then you can apply the darker color here, and it will create a contrast like that. Not on the screen, not so clear. I can see a little bit, but these are all the options when painting. Yeah. So for Esther, right, you're using the texture one. This one later will color white. Yeah. Then under this um, the seed, we use a bit lighter ink to create a little bit to make it look nicer, right? Actually create a little bit shading. Lighter one will do. A little bit shading. All these, right? We are trying to increase the components of the ink in the painting. I don't want so dry color. Right? It will look more like the color. It doesn't mean we want to just differentiate to differentiate, but it's actually the Chinese, like I mentioned, the painting, we need to actually have the ink as a bones. Okay. Let's write that in some shading. Some of the ink you can even apply on top in all these leaves. Under the leaf, one of the okay. So黄色加上7号，太青，加那个黄色，对，然后笔尖上加一点19号，这个黄啊，你看这个绿前面有一点红，它那个它的叶子有一点红。
我等那个白白的才放。
对对对，白的干了才放水。Okay. Then after this, right? Let's say you want to do the during the seed here, you can do 2 seed, and then behind we do a dip. Same thing, right? Let's say you have done, if you really don't have any idea, right? Just look at the photo. That's the inspiration. So let's say I don't want to do a pure seed. I want a seed with a shell. Like this one, like the moon also can. Or if you want something like this, like this watermelon cup, also can. Because the other class when we had some classmates say, if I'm painting the seed single, it's like the the bread, the croissant, the French bread, the bread, because it's round in center, narrow on the side, like a bread. So if you don't want to look like that, or don't want to discard it, you can do something like that. And this one can, so we can try this one. Put one here, we do a bigger one. It's also triangle. The same like just now what we do for the building. But this one, we need to put it here, right? This 1/4 or something cut. Do here. So we will draw some big dot and some line. Draw the inside of the building. Now here's one thing, the proportion. Take note of the proportion. But you don't want some like too much difference. Okay, here, and I'm painting this one inside. Slabs. Here, right? Outside a little bit darker. As we mentioned, the outside is more skin darker, right? Yeah. This one saying, you want to create a shading. See? Use the line brush. Okay. Like that. try to brush down. This way coming down here. This way it can get from bottom up. This part, the durian, you can try as rough as possible. You don't need to go so smooth like the mango skin. Okay. Same on durian. You want to separate the seed. Separation. Right. So if let's say behind the bigger durian was want to do now, say this one is quite similar to the one we did just now, right? We can do all the incline first before we actually. Now the triangle, right? We can do like that, also like this, right? If we do like this, right, we can use this angle. It's better, right? So we can do this one on the paper, right? And same here, right? Good. Now the behind one when you do, let's see, I can actually put as bigger as possible. Thus, it's taking up this space, whole space here, right? Go down here, on top. Remember this supposed to be lighter ink. Now we can do the outside one. To make it more natural, don't need to go, the lines very smooth, very curved, no need. Just do rough. Same for the shading, how we can use smaller brush. If let's say how you're painting bigger painting, smaller brush not enough, you can use a bit bigger. But make sure how your bigger brush is dry, more dry brush. The too wide, everything raw and splash together. Try bigger brush, try raw, right? So according to the direction, see the seed going this way, you see, bigger brush. This is going upwards. Say below one. So make sure the correct direction from here. Now when you do the painting, right, next step, especially when you do the coloring off, is also right. Now you can, because we did the mangosteen first in front, so now you look at it during, right? Do you want the lighter or a bit darker? Now this time it's more like you are managing the color. And I think every one of us we do have a little bit difference in judging the color. So this will also depending on your own painting. Your own one. If let's say your mangosteen color very light, then your durian color cannot be so dark. Everything is. But if your mangosteen goes very dark, then your durian also. But first, let's color the, the seed. So you put the yellow color. Take the big brush. That's the yellow color. Remember, do the correct direction. See this on bottom, the white is on top. See? White is on the center. So you color this way. Right? Here, brush up. Then the top one, brush down. Mm.
上面的列的分解是从
这个
它的这个从里面到外面。
对，这个没有，它这个分界是从这里出来，对，这里出来，对，但是这里留白，
这个是
这个
从外面到里面。
这个也是从里到外，但是这个因为它这边 highlight 这边看不到，在这边你就可以不用做，哎，这边不用做那么明显，对，等一下用那个棕色的时候画上去，对，红色的时候，我们留一个 highlight。Then this on the under one. 1 one also highlights the top, so we have a bottom up. 让the sunlight can also get some bright. ，Yeah. So after this, next step, we can go immediately, right? On top of the yellow, do the brown directly. I no need to wash the brush. Yeah, my yellow brush, I'll just take the brown and take, and now I come back, trying the shade, the brown, similar place when you're trying the shading. That means this one is here bottom, right? So just apply on the bottom, go up. And here you can separate. This is the durian. The seed had 3, right? Then I have 1. And this one, I have here 2. Separate. And some parts, right, you might not want to have a lot of brown, so you can do a little dabbing or like that. Maybe this one, the shading pops out. One, see? Some you want to separate and go this way. Let's see brown here, right? And go like that, and then separate. Like that is separating. See. Same this one below. Okay. Now you see how in the overlapping now we have all the mangosteen dark color here. Now you decide on the durian, the shell, how dark you should go. If let's say we just now when we practice, at the last, right, the step we actually apply one more color. This is actually to darken the screen. So we do the same step, right? Applying the yellow, just the pure yellow color first. From here, right? So we just do it. The skin is somehow roughly like that. Don't worry about too much on the colors here, right? Because this is the underlay. So this one. Then we can start to add the, the sharp one on top. First one, you need to actually put the ink into the brown. We create a dark brown, but not so dark like the black. Just the ink. Remember the step line outside screen here. Just don't drag, just press down. You're applying the long, short, long, short. second one. Remember your this stroke, you must cover the round yellow. Must be covering all the round yellow. Second, in the middle. So normally once you have done this, right, look at the contrast. Right? You see, maybe I feel my blue during the skin too bright. I don't want to show too much yellow on skin, right? Then you can actually get same brown plus a little in color. You go one layer, but this depends. If you like the color you have, then no need to do this. Right? If you feel it's too light, so you can actually go to one more layer, just a lighter ink plus the brown. Then you will actually make the skin look a little bit darker, especially on the lower side of the. So, but as I mentioned, this is very depending on the ones you have. If you're happy about the color, right? This step in the move. Sometimes some people they because some durian has a little bit green on the screen. You also can put a little green but those are additional because you don't want to make this too colorful. really color out. You can also put some gray on the outside a little bit. Main thing, don't at the outside, you should show more, how to say, all this pinch. Now, for this type of painting, usually Chinese painting, especially the um, 写意 one, we don't do shadow. That means, you see, between all these, let's say in between we have gaps. Usually we don't do shadow. Some, nowadays painting is like you feel, oh, if I don't do shadow, it look like everything floating on air. Some will do some shading like in between to increase the contrast. Those are optional. If you want, you can actually do more like that. So it will look something like a little bit like this, right? A little bit shading. But if you don't like that, right, you can just leave it. So traditional way, we usually don't put a lot of shading, especially the shadow parts. Thing. Sometimes we're coloring, we're painting. You see, you're gonna drop that here some on the paper. Sometimes you need to know how to fix. If let's say my paper, this part, got the ink. So normally, how do you fix, right? You can think about it. See, my mangosteen, they drop a leaf there. So if I cover like that, or I do the top one first, maybe eat is finished, right? Then you can actually using this way, you cover your mistake, and it will look more alive. But this is that when you make some like drop some ink on the paper, so it's more like all these small things. Your painter should make some story. If you want, you can have some screen because this manga screen don't have the cap. So take off maybe. Okay. So yeah, for this painting, today this title, we are writing this one. It means 夏日风味, it means the flavor in summer. It's a tropical fruit. We write the normal way and also the corrective way. So we can write the cursive one first. Yes, right hand side. This one depending on your triangle. More lean to the left, then your writing should be on the right. Flavor is the right. Creativity. non-Pacific.不小心开的时候断了。这个颜色很旧。他那个别的课，有的同学画一点多，分不出来了，这样子。还是关系的。是的。
这太大了。我会这样练习。是没有这样练习。我一个我真的太轻了。
再写一个眉毛。再放一个。
这个可以做风的。我就想到那个三代。
啊，乌油画少年狂。还没上。这是好像人家好很多哈。
是我成为他们的发言人。
哦，是吗？最快是好的是吧？
1个月。但是我1个星期去3次。
哦。
加到那个穴位疲劳。
哦，那是好的就好。
看他几乎都已经好了。
哦。对，对，对，看不出来了。一点点的。对，只好是，对，很好。
那天有一个小红书的 DJ。
哦。
就访问我。
哦。
就是说希望我可以来练。对，如果能去。哦。要怎样的心态啊？
对。
不要积极啊，还要抓住这个。
对，这样的。
是的。
那好，
观念要正确。
是。
反正已经遇到了，就是那个积极的。是，有的人说半年的时间。半年的时间。一个星期扎针1次。
哦。
我做1个星期做到3次。漂亮。 这个是25块钱一公斤。
对，那天我跟我们上课，我就出来快，出不来我出不来，然后同学说贵的就是好的。
在那个韩国是那个超市，他卖这样子，有39的、49的，
我真的是两倍，
你这吃不出来。
我就觉得说是假的，有的苦一点的，感觉不知道什么时候好。不吃那个都是
一天
啊，
吃不吃？这个山松啊，要在泰国吃。
我就这样别的意思画我，画别的啦，哇，你画什么？
下个星期如果正常的话，就39动物还是画
哇，
在了，
啊，他都不干。
我就听你知道，对的。
这样，啊，对，这样，
名字在前面呢。
没事，你放那边，我帮你。对对。
名字在前面呢。
在里面。
反正还没有。Thank you。
这个真的可以帮他们在做菜的时候更好的。
是，我说，因为有一些老人哦，当然是每一个人的那个状况不一样，但是就是要积极，不要那个有的会变成忧郁症哦，这个其实最年轻的是21岁，哦，他们要去公益，他们年轻人很介意自己的，就很急。胖，然后他有高血压，21岁，他早上起来突然间就发生。对，
很年轻嘛，
是任何年龄老师，然后我愿意就告诉他，他就上网查，80%都是1打，但是没有科学根据的。
就是那个最新的我刚看最新的。
是辉瑞最新的辉瑞，还有我的一个朋友，他也是他先生北京，自己本身是上海，他先生打小众，也是去年底的事情，但是现在已经跑了大概10岁。我说你有注意看的时候，大部分就是他拖着一个脚。哦。好啦，好，谢谢老师，
谢谢，假期愉快啊！
谢谢。
Hello, Daddy, Alona, have you finished?
I'm almost done with the durians and I'm almost done basically.
Okay.
No, I need more time.
Good, good. Yeah, take your time, Daddy. Yeah, you don't rush. Yeah, so I will send you all these final photos and practice one, and also later I upload the video. Yeah.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Steven.
Thank you, Nelly.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank
See you,
you. Have
Alona.
a good weekend.
See you.
Bye
Yeah,
bye.
you too. Enjoy your weekend. Bye bye.
拜拜。
拜。